Hello again, YouTube. Yes, I am still alive.
A couple of weeks ago, I did something that just a couple of years ago would have seemed unthinkable to me. It's something that's kind of life-altering, and it's something that I still wake up every morning and say to myself, did that happen? Give me a few minutes and I'll tell you what I've been up to. Hello again, YouTube. Yes, I am still alive. Like I've said before, I only make videos when I've got something worth making a video about. But recently, even YouTube have started sending me emails asking if I'm still alive. And I do have something to talk about, and it's that thing that I mentioned in the introduction there. What did I do a couple of weeks ago that's life-changing and big? I voluntarily walked away from a job, a well-paid job, I hasten to add, with a company I'd been with for the last 17 years, and something that had formed the larger part of my professional career. And I literally just said, thank you very much and goodbye. Now, the dynamic is a little bit different. You know, I didn't just quit. The official line is that I retired from the company, but that retirement was brought about by something that the company was up to. Now, like many companies, there seems to be this push for what they call working together, return to office. And I, in the role that I was in, had been remotely based for the last 13 years. I managed people in Poland, in India, and we had clients largely in the US and Europe. There was no reason for me to be in a London office. But the bigger part is that, you know, I don't mind going into the office if the office is a reasonable distance away. But for me, and this is without a word of a lie, the commute door to door from where I am to where their office is 2.5 hours. And I was told that's close to an office. And when you get to that point, it makes you kind of evaluate your life choices. And I remember when they had broken this news to me, I started going into the office, and there was a day where I spent 2.5 hours trudging into the office, and they have standing desks and I like to stand all day, so I stood at this desk all day. Come the end of the day, I wound the desk back down and there's a guy sitting opposite me, and he'd been there all day and he hadn't said a word, and I didn't even know he existed until I put the desk back down. And this is, we are told, is collaboration. And, you know, I walked out of the office and I sent my wife a text, you know, because I'd got now, this is like 5:30, early finish. I'm leaving the office and I'm sending my wife a text saying it'll be 2.5 hours before I'll be in. So, you know, do the math on that. It's 8 o'clock before I'm getting in, with the prospect of doing this all again tomorrow. Woohoo. And I just sent her a text and said, I don't know if I can do this. What I actually meant was, I don't know if I want to do this, you know. It seemed nonsensical. And anyway, by the time I got in, she'd already got a quote on her pension scheme. She left a UK bank a long time ago and had a pension that, you know, we're both of an age where we could take a pension. She had a pension she could take and she'd got a quote on that. And she said, get a quote on yours. Long story short, I got a quote on my pension. We drew down some lump sums. We paid off the mortgage and all other debts. We are completely debt free. And the morning after I got the pension payment and paid off my mortgage, I phoned my boss and said, I'm retiring. And so here we are. I am now officially, am I a pensioner? I don't feel like a pensioner, but I am officially a pensioner. Now, don't get me wrong. Not for a minute am I just giving up work. I have set myself up as a local handyman. I love doing things with my hands. I love being hands-on, on the tools. And I accept that your mid-50s is probably the wrong time to be getting on the tools, because it's the time that most people who've been in the trades are getting off the tools. But you know, I just, look, I'm in my mid-50s. I've got probably 15 years of work left in me. And I've just for that last 15 years, I want to do something worthwhile. For the last 40 or so years, I've been in big corporate organisations. And, I look back and reflect on, what did I make? Ones and zeros, money, you know, ones and zeros, digital ones and zeros that are here and gone. Yeah, I was good with PowerPoint, but yeah, do me a favour. How long does a PowerPoint deck last? I tell you, that's the thing about PowerPoint. It's the most important thing in the world to your boss when they need a PowerPoint deck, because they've got to go into a meeting. And we've all lost the ability to go into meetings and talk to people. And, and so, everyone needs the comfort blanket of a deck to talk to. And it's all bullet points. It's just the things they're going to say on a page, but it draws people's focus away from looking at you, which is why people use PowerPoint. I'm sorry, that is it. Anyway, so I was pretty good with PowerPoint. And my role was actually in digital learning. My team actually created e-learning for the large organisation of which we were a part. But it wasn't really satisfying. As I've been transitioning into this role as, being a tradesman, I guess you could call me that, being a local handyman or jobman, call it what you want, I've subscribed to a number of forums online, and there was a thread that came up the other day that I thought, you just never see that in the big corporate organisations. Somebody started a thread about, do you ever drive past a property and say to yourself, I worked on that? Yeah. How many people in big business drive past a PowerPoint deck and say, I worked on that? Because that was my life.
Walk it, don't try to ride it.
So, this is me, second week of retirement from a corporate environment and moving on to do my own thing. And I'll be honest, it feels scary, but it feels good scary. It feels as positive as it is negative. I don't regret anything that I've done. I don't think you can have regrets. I spent 40 years in corporate environments, and over that time I earned a lot of money and I did a lot of things that I wouldn't have done if I hadn't been in that environment. I've been to places. I've been to the Far East, I've been to Singapore, I've been to the Middle East, I've been to most of Europe, US. Yeah, and I wouldn't have done any of those things if I hadn't been in those positions. And I've got to be grateful for that. And I've got to be grateful for the fact that, it allowed me to build up a pension pot that I drew some money out of and was able to pay off my mortgage 8 years early. But yeah, it still feels kind of scary, but in a good way. And more than scary, it feels kind of healthy. It feels kind of honest. It feels like, I'll give you an example. My wife and I, over the past God knows how many years, we've had disposable income and we've just disposed of it. And most of it has gone to online retailers, and most of that being Amazon probably. And I can think of times when we've ordered stuff from Amazon, it's turned up and been the usual Amazon disappointment, gone straight in the bin because we didn't value it. Well, we're not in that world anymore. If we want something, we're going to really need it before we order it. And if we haven't got the money for it, then it's on me to get out, find some more work and get some money. And that feels honest. But also, it feels good to be doing stuff that leaves a mark at the end of the day. Like, I don't know, you put up some solar security lights for somebody, or you rebuilt their shed door, or, you put up some fencing, or one the other day, you put up a clothesline pole for somebody. And they're really happy about it. It seems really stupid. Somebody that's been clipping an extendable clothesline onto a fence post for years, and the fence post has perished and gone away, and then they started screwing it into the fence, and that don't work, and every time they put the clothes up they end up on the floor. And you go round, a couple of hours, bang a metal post into the ground, build them a wooden post, put a hook into it, and they can put their washing line on that. It just feels good. That's so far away from what I've been doing, but it feels really good. So what does this mean for the future of the channel? Well, actually I think positives. I think one of the positives that's come out of this for me is that it's kind of made me realise what I want to do with this YouTube channel, what I set out to do with this YouTube channel. And that whole thing about not making videos unless I've got videos to make, I think stands. I think what I wanted to do when I first put the channel together was to kind of share a story of my journey back to fitness and to hopefully inspire and motivate some people along the way. Now, obviously, there's no lack of technical vids that I've made about rebuilding the old Trek road bike and putting an 11-speed group set on it and stuff like that. And that will continue. But I think what I'd really like to do with the channel now is to, keep that up, make it into a place where I can share hopefully some motivation, where I can share this journey that I'm on now and, the highs and the lows and how you deal with them. And obviously, how you keep fit in this different environment that I'm in now. And obviously the technical stuff, most of my day is on the tools, but that doesn't mean, that I stop looking after these things. Oh, Christ, he says that, but you look at that don't look at that drivetrain. So I think that, it's given me kind of new purpose with this channel as well, to share hopefully my story and a bit of motivation, and to show that, whatever life throws at you, you can deal with it. And change is just a natural course of life, and, everyone can deal with it. And hopefully, that's what I can do through this channel now. Anyway, if you've watched this far, thank you as always for your patience. And I do genuinely appreciate your tenacity in sticking with this video. And I do certainly hope that you stick with the channel. The fitness stuff's still going to continue. The technical stuff's still going to continue. In fact, we're getting a Zwift bike for my wife. I sold some stuff and made some space in the garden room. And she would like to give Zwift a go and would like a Zwift bike. And if she doesn't get on with it, I know somebody who will. Anyway, so there's that coming up. But hopefully you can stick with me and share this journey that I'm on. Thanks for watching, YouTube. I'll catch you in the next one.